I want a divorce, Michael shouted, shoving the cake away from him. The three-tier cake crashed to the marble floor and shattered, frosting splashing across Adana's red silk dress. 72 hours of work destroyed in seconds. 100 guests went silent. Then one by one phones appeared. Michael strode across the ballroom and ripped the microphone from the stand. I brought you all here as witnesses, he announced. I am divorcing my wife. Tonight. Right now. Shock rippled through the room. Adana felt her legs tremble. She is barren, Michael continued coldly. 4 years of marriage and not a single child. What kind of woman cannot do the one thing she was created to do? The ballroom doors swung open. A woman in a tight gold dress walked in, her pregnant belly proudly displayed. 2 small children followed her, holding hands. Adana recognized her immediately. Chisholm, her best friend. This is the mother of my children, Michael said, and she is 4 months pregnant with my third. Laughter broke through the crowd. Adana's vision blurred. The floor tilted. She collapsed beside the ruined cake. Outside the glass doors, Park Ji-hoon had been watching. While everyone focused on the scandal, he moved through the crowd, knelt beside Adana, and lifted her into his arms. He slid one arm under her shoulders and the other under her knees. He lifted her easily and cradled her against his chest as he stood up. Who the hell are you? Michael's voice boomed through the speakers. Ji-hoon turned slowly to face the stage. Michael was staring at him with his arms still wrapped around his pregnant mistress. The entire ballroom had gone silent again. 100 guests watched the stranger in a casual white shirt hold their hostess like she weighed nothing. Put her down, Michael demanded. He jumped down from the stage and started walking toward Ji-hoon. This is none of your business. Ji-hoon stopped walking. He turned his head just enough to look at Michael over his shoulder. She is not your wife anymore, Ji-hoon said quietly. You made that very clear to everyone here. Michael's face went bright red. You do not know who you are dealing with. Yes, I do, Ji-hoon said. His voice was still quiet, but it cut through every whisper in the room. You are Michael Okonkwo. You own 3 car dealerships and 2 rental properties. You took out your largest loan 8 months ago for $2.3 million from Crown Capital Partners. Michael stopped walking. His expression shifted from anger to confusion. Crown Capital Partners is one of my subsidiaries, Ji-hoon continued calmly. Which means your businesses and your properties and your entire cash flow exist because I allow them to exist. My name is Park Ji-hoon. And if you ever speak to this woman again, I will personally make sure every single loan you have is called in by Monday morning. No one in the ballroom moved. No one spoke. No one even seemed to breathe. 100 guests stood frozen with their phones recording everything. Ji-hoon looked at Michael for 3 more seconds. Just long enough to make absolutely sure the message was received. Then he turned and carried Adana out of the Grand Pearl Hotel ballroom while 100 people watched and did absolutely nothing to help. Before we continue with the story, I would like you to do me a favor, kindly hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where you are watching from, because this story is about to change in ways nobody expects. Ji-hoon carried Adana through the hotel lobby without breaking stride. The concierge looked up from his desk and started to say something but stopped when he saw Ji-hoon's expression. The valet at the front entrance opened the door without being asked. The cool night air hit Ji-hoon's face as he stepped outside. Adana started to stir in his arms. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment she just stared up at him without seeming to understand where she was or who was holding her. Then reality came crashing back and she sucked in a sharp breath. Put me down, she whispered. Ji-hoon looked down at her. You fainted. I know. Her voice was shaking. Put me down, please. He set her on her feet carefully. Kept one hand on her elbow until he was sure she was steady. Adana swayed slightly but she did not fall. She wrapped her arms around herself and stared at the ground. The valet and the concierge were watching through the glass doors but Ji-hoon ignored them. Thank you, Adana said without looking up. Where will you go? Ji-hoon asked. I do not know yet. She was still staring at the ground. But that is not your concern. Your husband said you would be leaving his house tonight. Adana flinched at the word husband. He is not my husband anymore. Exactly, Ji-hoon said. Which means you have nowhere to go. She finally looked up at him. Her eyes were red from crying, but her jaw was set. I will figure something out. I own the penthouse suite on the top floor, Ji-hoon said. There are 3 bedrooms. You can use one until you decide what to do next. No. Adana shook her head. I cannot accept that. Why not? Because I do not know you. Her voice was getting stronger even though her hands were still shaking. Because you just threatened my ex-husband's entire business in front of 100 people. Because nothing about this makes sense. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. Fair enough. He pulled out his phone and sent a quick text. 30 seconds later, a black car pulled up to the curb. The driver got out and opened the back door without saying a word. This car will take you anywhere you want to go, Ji-hoon said. Adana stared at the open car door. Why are you doing this? Because no one else in that ballroom was going to help you, Ji-hoon said simply. Something in Adana's expression cracked. Her eyes filled with tears again, but she blinked them back hard. I have a sister. She lives 40 minutes from here. Then the driver will take you to your sister. Ji-hoon nodded to the driver. He will wait while you collect anything you need from your ex-husband's house first if you want. I do not want anything from that house, Adana said quietly. Then you go straight to your sister. Adana took a step toward the car and then stopped. She turned back to Ji-hoon and looked at him properly for the first time. Really looked at him. At his dark eyes and messy hair and the casual clothes that somehow made him look more dangerous than if he had been wearing a suit. What is your name again? She asked. Park Ji-hoon. Thank you, Park Ji-hoon, Adana said. Her voice was steady now. Stronger. I will not forget this. You do not owe me anything, Ji-hoon said. Adana held his gaze for another moment and then she got into the car. The driver closed the door gently and walked around to the driver's seat. Ji-hoon watched the car pull away from the curb and disappear into the Friday night traffic. He stood outside the Grand Pearl Hotel for a long time after that, his hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable. Then he turned and walked back inside. He did not go back to the ballroom. He could see through the glass doors that it was still chaos. Guests clustered in groups. Michael in the center with Chisholm still attached to his side. The children crying in their stroller. The destroyed cake still scattered across the floor. Ji-hoon took the elevator to the top floor and let himself into the penthouse suite. The suite was massive and modern and impersonal. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Leather furniture positioned perfectly for conversation no one ever had. He poured himself another whiskey and stood at the window looking out at the lights. His reflection stared back at him in the glass. Dark eyes. Sharp features. The kind of face that made people nervous even when he was not trying to be intimidating. His phone buzzed. A text from his attorney Marcus. Are you insane? Ji-hoon smiled slightly and typed back. Probably. Another buzz. You just threatened to destroy a client in front of 100 witnesses. Do you know how many videos of that are probably online already? I imagine quite a few, Ji-hoon typed. This is not funny. You cannot just make threats like that. I did not threaten him, Ji-hoon wrote back. I made a promise. His phone started ringing. Ji-hoon ignored it. He finished his whiskey and set the empty glass on the window ledge. His reflection looked tired suddenly. Older than 34. He rubbed his eyes and felt the dull ache starting behind them that had been coming more frequently lately. The phone stopped ringing and immediately started again. Ji-hoon answered this time. Yes. What the hell were you thinking? Marcus's voice was sharp with stress. Do you have any idea what kind of legal trouble you just created? Michael Okonkwo publicly humiliated his wife in front of 100 people because she could not have children, Ji-hoon said calmly. Then he introduced his mistress and his secret children. Then he announced he was divorcing her while she was unconscious on the floor. I do not particularly care about the legal trouble. You threatened his business. I stated facts about his business, Ji-hoon corrected. Facts he should have been more aware of before he decided to behave like an animal. Marcus sighed heavily. You are going to give me a heart attack. You are 39 years old and you run 5 miles every morning, Ji-hoon said. Your heart is fine. My heart will not be fine if you keep doing things like this. There was a pause. Are you okay? You have been different lately. I am fine, Ji-hoon lied. You are a terrible liar. Good night, Marcus, Ji-hoon said and ended the call. He stood at the window for a long time after that. His head was pounding now. The ache behind his eyes had spread to his temples. He thought about the pills in his bathroom. The appointment he had on Monday morning at the private clinic. The doctor's expression the last time he had gone in for tests. Mostly he thought about the woman in the red dress who had looked at him with eyes full of tears and thanked him for something as simple as helping her leave. Ji-hoon turned away from the window and headed to his bedroom. He had calls to make in the morning. Meetings to reschedule. Damage control to handle. His phone buzzed one more time as he was getting ready for bed. A text from an unknown number. This is Adana. Your driver gave me your contact. I am with my sister. Thank you again for what you did tonight. Ji-hoon stared at the message for a long moment. He started to type a response 3 different times and deleted it each time. Finally he just wrote back, I am glad you are safe. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally another message came through. My sister wants to know if you are single. Ji-hoon laughed out loud. It was the first time he had laughed in weeks and it hurt his chest in a way that had nothing to do with amusement. He typed back, tell your sister I am flattered. She said to tell you that you are missing out. Your sister sounds like someone I would like, Ji-hoon responded. She is the best person I know. She is letting me stay here as long as I need. That is good. You are lucky to have her. There was a pause before the next message came. Can I ask you something? Yes. Why did you help me tonight? Ji-hoon looked at the question for a long time. He thought about all the real answers. That he helped her because he knew what it felt like to be alone in a room full of people. That he helped her because he was tired of watching the world be cruel. That he helped her because he was dying and he wanted to do something good before he ran out of time. Instead he wrote, because it was the right thing to do. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally Adana responded. Thank you for being someone who does the right thing. There are not many people like that anymore. Good night, Park Ji-hoon. Good night, Adana. Ji-hoon set his phone on the nightstand and lay down. He stared at the ceiling for a long time before sleep finally came. When it did, he dreamed of a woman in a red dress and cake scattered across white marble and 100 people who just stood there and watched. He woke up at 6 in the morning with a headache that made him nauseous. The pain was worse than usual. Sharp and insistent and impossible to ignore. Ji-hoon lay very still for a few minutes waiting to see if it would fade, but it only got stronger. Finally he forced himself to sit up and immediately regretted it. The room spun slightly. This was happening more often. Ji-hoon stood up carefully and walked to the bathroom. He opened the medicine cabinet and looked at the rows of pill bottles lined up like tiny soldiers. Painkillers. Anti-nausea medication. Supplements that were supposed to help but did not. He took what he was supposed to take and waited for the sharp edge of the headache to dull. 20 minutes later he was in the shower letting hot water pound against his shoulders. The headache was better. Not gone but better. Manageable. Ji-hoon closed his eyes and tried not to think about the fact that manageable was the best he could hope for these days. His phone was ringing when he got out of the shower. Ji-hoon wrapped a towel around his waist and checked the screen. His head of security. He answered immediately. What is wrong? Ji-hoon asked. Nothing is wrong, Yoon replied. But you need to see the news. I do not watch the news on Saturday mornings. You are going to want to watch it today, Yoon said. Your little scene last night went viral. It is everywhere. Ji-hoon closed his eyes. How bad? Depends on your perspective, Yoon said. Some people think you are a hero. Some people think you overstepped. Some people are trying to figure out who you are and why you threatened Michael Okonkwo. His ex-wife Adana is trending on 3 different platforms. She did not deserve this, Ji-hoon said quietly. No one deserves what happened to her, Yoon agreed. But now everyone knows about it. And everyone knows you carried her out. The video of you lifting her while she was unconscious has 6 million views. Ji-hoon swore under his breath. There is more, Yoon continued. Michael Okonkwo is giving interviews. He is claiming you assaulted him. He is threatening legal action. Let him threaten, Ji-hoon said. He touched his loans the second he decided to make a spectacle of himself. You are serious about calling in his loans? Completely serious. Yoon was quiet for a moment. You are not usually this reactive. What happened? I watched a man destroy his wife in front of 100 people who did nothing but take pictures, Ji-hoon said. That is what happened. And you decided to be the one who does something. Someone had to, Ji-hoon said. Fair enough, Yoon replied. Do you need me to handle anything on my end? Make sure no one bothers Adana, Ji-hoon said. She is staying with her sister, but reporters are going to find her eventually. I want a security detail assigned to her. Discreet. She should not even know they are there. Done, Yoon said. Anything else? Find out everything you can about Michael Okonkwo and his mistress, Ji-hoon said. I want to know where his money comes from, where it goes, and what he is hiding. You think he is hiding something? Men like him always are, Ji-hoon said and ended the call. He got dressed slowly. Black pants, gray sweater, comfortable clothes because he was not leaving the hotel today. His headache was still there. A dull throb at the base of his skull. But it was tolerable now. Ji-hoon made himself eat breakfast even though he was not hungry. The food tasted like cardboard, but he finished it anyway. His phone buzzed. Another text from Adana. I just saw the news. I'm so sorry. I did not mean for you to get dragged into this. Ji-hoon typed back quickly. You have nothing to apologize for. Are you okay? Physically, yes, she wrote. Emotionally, I am not sure yet. My sister keeps trying to feed me and tell me everything happens for a reason. I love her, but I do not want to hear that right now. Tell her you need space, Ji-hoon responded. I tried. She ignored me. There was a pause. Thank you again for last night. I keep replaying it in my head. The cake. Michael's face. Chisholm walking in with those children. I cannot believe it was real. Ji-hoon's chest tightened. He could hear the pain in her words even through text. It was real, he typed carefully. But it is over now. You are safe. Am I though? Everyone saw what happened. My phone has been ringing nonstop. People I have not talked to in years are calling. Some of them are concerned. Some of them just want gossip. I do not know how to deal with any of this. Turn off your phone, Ji-hoon wrote. Take a few days. Let your sister take care of you. The noise will die down eventually. Will it though? The videos are everywhere. People are making memes. I saw someone on Twitter calling me the Barren Bride. Someone else made a TikTok reenacting the whole thing. Ji-hoon felt anger flash through him. Hot and sharp. People are cruel. Yes, they are, Adana agreed. But you were not. You were kind when you did not have to be. Why? Because someone needed to be, Ji-hoon typed. There was a long pause before her next message. My sister says I should stop bothering you. That you are probably busy and I should let you get on with your life. But I wanted to say thank you one more time. What you did mattered. It mattered to me. You are not bothering me, Ji-hoon responded. And you can text me whenever you want. Really? Really? Thank you, Park Ji-hoon. You are a good person. Ji-hoon stared at those words for a long time. A good person. If only she knew. If only she knew that he was dying. That he had maybe 6 months left. That every act of kindness was tinged with desperation because time was running out. But she did not know. And he was not going to tell her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The weekend passed slowly. Ji-hoon spent most of Saturday sleeping because the headache would not go away and rest was the only thing that helped. He woke up Sunday morning feeling slightly better and forced himself to go through his emails. Marcus had called 4 more times. Ji-hoon called him back. Finally, Marcus said when he answered. I was starting to think you had died. Not yet, Ji-hoon said before he could stop himself. What? Nothing, Ji-hoon said quickly. What do you need? I need you to explain to me what your plan is here, Marcus said. Because Michael Okonkwo's attorneys have already reached out threatening to sue you for defamation, harassment, and interference with his business relationships. Let them sue, Ji-hoon said. That is not a strategy. It is the only strategy one have, Ji-hoon replied. I'm not backing down. His loans get called in tomorrow morning. Marcus sighed heavily. You are going to bankrupt him. He should have thought about that before he publicly humiliated someone who could not fight back. This is not like you, Marcus said. You are usually more calculated, more strategic. You do not usually let emotion drive business decisions. Maybe I am changing, Ji-hoon said. Or maybe something is wrong, Marcus replied quietly. Talk to me. What is really going on? Nothing is going on, Ji-hoon lied. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Fine. I will handle the legal threats. But you need to be prepared for this to get messy. I am always prepared for messy, Ji-hoon said and ended the call. Sunday afternoon, Adana texted him again. My sister is making me go to church with her. She thinks prayer will help. I think she just does not want to leave me alone. Your sister sounds wise, Ji-hoon typed back. My sister sounds pushy. But I love her anyway. That is how the best siblings are. Do you have siblings? Adana asked. Ji-hoon stared at the question. No. I was an only child. That must have been lonely. Sometimes. But I had good parents. Had. They passed away when I was in my 20s. Car accident. I'm so sorry. I should not have asked. It is okay. It was a long time ago. There was a pause before Adana's next message. I have to go now. Church is starting. Thank you for talking to me. It helps to have someone to talk to who understands. Anytime, Ji-hoon wrote back. He set his phone down and stared out the window. The city stretched out below him. Thousands of lives happening simultaneously. Each person dealing with their own version of pain and hope. Ji-hoon wondered what Adana was praying for in that church. He wondered what he would pray for if he believed in prayer. Probably more time. Monday morning came too fast. Ji-hoon woke up at 5 with another headache. He took his pills and waited for them to work. By 6 he was in the shower. By 7 he was dressed in a dark suit and ready to handle whatever the week threw at him. His attorney had sent him a schedule for the day. Morning meeting with Crown Capital to finalize the loan recall. Afternoon meeting with his security team. Evening meeting with his doctor. That last one made Ji-hoon's stomach tighten. The meeting with Crown Capital went exactly as expected. The board was not happy about the loan recall, but they trusted Ji-hoon's judgment. Michael Okonkwo would receive notice by noon. He would have 30 days to repay $2.3 million or lose everything. Yoon called him right after the meeting ended. Michael is panicking, Yoon said without preamble. He has been calling everyone he knows trying to find someone who can talk you out of this. No one can talk me out of this, Ji-hoon said. I figured. But he's getting desperate. Desperate men do stupid things. What kind of stupid things? He showed up at Adana's sister's house this morning, Yoon said. He was banging on the door demanding to see his wife. The security detail I assigned had to escort him off the property. Ji-hoon's hand tightened on his phone. Is Adana okay? She is shaken but unharmed. Her sister called the police. Michael left before they arrived, but they have it on record now. Good. Make sure the security detail stays in place. Double it if you have to. Already done. Ji-hoon ended the call and immediately texted Adana. Are you okay? Her response came back quickly. How did you know? I have people watching out for you. I should have told you sooner. I apologize for the invasion of privacy, but I wanted to make sure you were safe. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, Adana responded. I should be angry about that, but honestly I am just relieved. Michael was terrifying this morning. I have never seen him like that. He was screaming, saying I ruined his life, that I owed him, that you had no right to interfere. My sister had to physically stand between us. Ji-hoon felt rage build in his chest, cold and controlled. He will not bother you again. How can you be sure? Because I am making sure of it. There was a pause. Thank you. I do not know what I would do without you right now. You would be fine, Ji-hoon typed. You are stronger than you think. I do not feel strong. I feel like I am falling apart. Falling apart and getting back up is strength, Ji-hoon responded. You are doing both. He could almost feel her smile through the phone. Thank you for saying that. The rest of the day passed in a blur of meetings and phone calls. By the time Ji-hoon left for his doctor's appointment at 5, he was exhausted. The drive to the private clinic took 20 minutes. Ji-hoon parked in the underground garage and took the private elevator to the top floor where the oncology department existed in carefully neutral tones and soft lighting. He checked in with the receptionist who smiled at him with practiced warmth. She handed him a clipboard with updated paperwork. Ji-hoon filled it out mechanically. Same questions as always. Pain level. Energy level. Appetite. Sleep quality. He checked boxes and circled numbers and tried not to think about how every answer was worse than last time. Mr. Park? A nurse appeared. Dr. Matsuda is ready for you. Ji-hoon followed her down a quiet hallway to an exam room. The nurse took his vitals and asked him the same questions he had just answered on paper. Then she left him alone. Dr. Matsuda arrived 5 minutes later. He was a tall man, Japanese-American, with kind eyes and gentle hands and a voice that stayed perfectly level no matter what he was telling you. Ji-hoon had come to respect that about him. No false hope. No devastating pity. Just facts delivered with compassion. Ji-hoon, Dr. Matsuda said, shaking his hand. How are you feeling? The same, Ji-hoon said. Headaches still frequent? Yes. And the fatigue? Getting worse, Ji-hoon admitted. Dr. Matsuda nodded and made notes on his tablet. We got your latest test results back. I want to go over them with you. Ji-hoon's jaw tightened, but he nodded. The leukemia has continued to progress despite the treatments we have tried, Dr. Matsuda said quietly. Your blood counts are declining more rapidly than we hoped. The cancer is no longer responding to chemotherapy. How long? Ji-hoon asked. Dr. Matsuda met his eyes. 6 months. Maybe less. I am sorry. The words hung in the air between them. 6 months. Maybe less. Ji-hoon had known it was coming, but hearing it said out loud made it real. Is there anything else we can try? Ji-hoon asked, even though he already knew the answer. We can continue supportive care to manage symptoms. Pain management. Blood transfusions if needed. But in terms of treatment options, we have exhausted what is available for your specific type of leukemia. So I just wait to die, Ji-hoon said flatly. You live the time you have left as fully as you can, Dr. Matsuda corrected gently. You make choices about what matters to you. You spend time with people you care about. You do things you have always wanted to do. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. 6 months. Approximately. It could be longer. It could be shorter. Every patient is different. But probably not much longer. Probably not, Dr. Matsuda agreed. They sat in silence for a moment. Ji-hoon could hear voices in the hallway outside. Another patient arriving. A phone ringing. Normal sounds in a place where people came to hear that their normal was ending. Do you have people to support you through this? Dr. Matsuda asked quietly. I have my attorney and my head of security. What about family? Friends? Someone close? No family. My friends are mostly business associates. Dr. Matsuda frowned slightly. I strongly encourage you to consider building a support system. The coming months are going to be difficult. You should not go through them alone. I have been alone most of my life, Ji-hoon said. I will manage. Managing is not the same as living, Dr. Matsuda replied. And you deserve to live in whatever time you have left. Ji-hoon did not know what to say to that. He left the office 20 minutes later with updated prescriptions and information packets about end-of-life care that he shoved into his jacket pocket without looking at. The drive back to the hotel felt longer than usual. Ji-hoon's hands were steady on the wheel, but his mind was racing. 6 months. Maybe less. When he got back to his penthouse suite, he poured himself a drink and stood at the window watching the sun set. The sky turned orange and pink and purple. Beautiful in a way that made his chest hurt. His phone buzzed. A text from Adana. My sister is insisting I go out to dinner with her tonight. She says I cannot hide forever. I told her I am not hiding, I am recovering. She says they are the same thing. Is she right? Ji-hoon smiled despite himself. Your sister is trying to take care of you. Let her. What if I run into people I know? What if they have seen the videos? Then you hold your head high and remember you did nothing wrong, Ji-hoon typed. That is easier said than done. Most things are. But you are stronger than you think you are. How do you know? Adana asked. Because you are still standing. After everything that happened, you are still here. Still fighting. That takes strength most people do not have. There was a very long pause. I needed to hear that. Thank you. Go to dinner with your sister. Eat good food. Start taking your life back. What are you doing tonight? Adana asked. Ji-hoon looked at the time. 6:30. He had no plans except sitting in this empty penthouse and thinking about dying. Nothing important, he typed. Would you want to have dinner with us? My sister would love to meet you properly. And honestly, I would feel better if you were there. Jihoon stared at the message. He should say no. Should maintain distance. Should not get more involved when he was dying. But he was so tired of being alone. I would like that, he typed. Where and when? 7:30? There is a small Italian place near my sister's house. I will send you the address. I will be there. Jihoon set his phone down and went to change. He put on dark jeans and a navy sweater. Looked at himself in the mirror and saw someone who looked tired but not quite as hollow as usual. He drove to the address Adana sent. A small restaurant tucked into a quiet neighborhood. Warm lights glowed through the windows. Jihoon could see Adana and her sister already seated at a table inside. When he walked in, Adana's face lit up. She stood and walked over to meet him. You came, she said. I said I would, Jihoon replied. She was wearing jeans and a simple cream sweater. Her hair was down around her shoulders. She looked different than she had in her red dress. Softer. More like herself. This is my sister Kayamika, Adana said, gesturing to the woman who had stood up from the table. Kayamika was taller than Adana. Rounder. With the same dark skin and warm eyes. When she smiled, it lit up the entire space around her. Park Jihoon, Kayamika said, walking over with her hand extended. The man who saved my sister. I have been wanting to meet you properly. Jihoon shook her hand. It is nice to meet you. Come sit, Kayamika said. I already ordered wine. I hope you drink wine. I do, Jihoon said. They sat at the small table. Kayamika poured wine for all three of them. She raised her glass. To new beginnings, Kayamika said. And to men who do the right thing even when it costs them. They clinked glasses and drank. The wine was good. Better than Jihoon expected from a small neighborhood restaurant. So, Kayamika said, setting down her glass. Adana tells me you own half the city. I do import and export mostly, Jihoon said. Mostly, Kayamika repeated with a knowing smile. Adana also tells me you threatened to bankrupt her ex-husband. I gave him information about his financial situation, Jihoon said carefully. And then you called in his loans this morning, Kayamika continued. Do not look so surprised. I have connections. I know things. Jihoon glanced at Adana. She was smiling into her wine glass. I warned you my sister would interrogate you, Adana said. I do not interrogate, Kayamika protested. I gather information. There is a difference. Not much of one, Adana said fondly. They ordered food. Kayamika insisted they try everything. Pasta and risotto and chicken and vegetables. The food kept coming and Jihoon found himself eating more than he had in days. You are too thin, Kayamika observed. When was the last time you had a good home-cooked meal? It has been a while, Jihoon admitted. That is what I thought, Kayamika said. She stood up and started loading more food onto his plate despite his protests. You need feeding. Kayamika, Adana said with gentle exasperation. You cannot force-feed our guest. I am not forcing. I am encouraging. Kayamika sat back down and looked at Jihoon seriously. You helped my sister when no one else would. That makes you family. And family gets fed. Something in Jihoon's chest tightened. Thank you. They talked for hours. Kayamika asked questions about his business. About his life. About how he had come to be at the hotel that night. Jihoon answered carefully. Giving just enough information to be polite without revealing anything too personal. Adana mostly listened. She watched him with an expression he could not quite read. Thoughtful. Curious. Grateful. Can I ask you something? Kayamika said as they were finishing dessert. Of course, Jihoon said. Why did you really help Adana? I know you said it was the right thing to do. But there is more to it than that. I can tell. Jihoon looked at Kayamika. Then at Adana. They were both watching him closely. I helped her because I know what it feels like to be alone in a room full of people, Jihoon said quietly. I know what it feels like to need help and have no one offer it. I did not want her to feel that way. Kayamika's expression softened. You are a good man, Park Jihoon. I try to be, Jihoon said. After dinner, Jihoon walked them to their car. Kayamika hugged him goodbye. A real hug. Warm and genuine. Thank you for coming tonight, she said. You are welcome anytime. I mean that. Thank you for having me, Jihoon replied. Kayamika got in the car. Adana lingered for a moment. Thank you for coming, she said softly. I know you probably had better things to do. There was nothing better than this, Jihoon said honestly. Adana smiled. Can I see you again? Soon. Yes, Jihoon said. Whenever you want. Tomorrow? Adana asked. There is a cafe I like. We could have coffee. Coffee sounds perfect. They stood there for a moment longer. Close enough that Jihoon could smell her perfume. Something light and floral. Good night, Park Jihoon, Adana said. Good night, Adana. Jihoon watched her get in the car. Watched them drive away. Then he stood in the parking lot for a long time looking up at the stars and thinking about how strange it was that the worst night of Adana's life had led to this. To coffee tomorrow. To a connection he had not expected. To feeling less alone than he had in months. He drove back to the hotel and went to bed thinking about 6 months and whether that was enough time to matter. He decided it had to be. Because it was all the time he had left. The next afternoon, Jihoon met Adana at the cafe she had mentioned. It was tucked away on a quiet street. The kind of place locals knew about but tourists never found. Small tables. Mismatched chairs. Art on the walls from local artists. The smell of fresh coffee and baked goods. Adana was already there when he arrived. She sat at a table in the back corner. 2 cups of coffee already on the table. I ordered for you, she said when he sat down. Americano. I hope that is okay. It is perfect, Jihoon said. How did you know? Lucky guess, Adana said with a small smile. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Jihoon sipped his coffee. It was good. Strong and hot and exactly what he needed. Can I ask you something? Adana said. Always. What made you stay at the hotel that weekend? You said you were having your penthouse renovated but you could have stayed anywhere. Why the Grand Pearl? Jihoon thought about the question. It was convenient. Close to my office. And the garden is peaceful. The garden where you were when everything happened, Adana said. Yes. Do you believe in fate? Adana asked. I do not know, Jihoon admitted. Do you? I am starting to, Adana said quietly. Because what are the odds? You being in that garden at that exact moment. You seeing what happened. You deciding to help. It feels like more than coincidence. Maybe it was just good timing, Jihoon suggested. Or maybe it was meant to happen, Adana countered. Maybe you were supposed to be there. Maybe I was supposed to meet you. Jihoon looked at her across the table. She was serious. Her eyes were bright with something that looked like hope. Maybe, he said carefully. They talked for 2 hours. About everything and nothing. About Adana's childhood and her dreams of becoming a teacher before Michael convinced her to quit her job. About Jihoon's parents and the accident that took them. About favorite books and bad movies and places they had always wanted to visit. Adana was easy to talk to. She listened when he spoke. Asked thoughtful questions. Did not try to fill every silence with words. What are you doing this weekend? Adana asked as they were getting ready to leave. Nothing planned, Jihoon said. Would you want to do something? With me. What did you have in mind? I do not know yet, Adana admitted. But I want to start doing things. Things I have always wanted to do but never got to. And I would like you to be there if you want. Jihoon thought about Dr. Matsuda's words. Live the time you have left as fully as you can. Yes, he said. I would like that. Really? Adana's face lit up. Really? She smiled. Bright and genuine. The first real smile he had seen from her since that night in the ballroom. Okay, she said. I will think of something and text you. I look forward to it, Jihoon said. They left the cafe together. Stood on the sidewalk in the afternoon sun. Adana's car was parked one direction. Jihoon's was the other. Neither of them moved to leave. Thank you, Adana said finally. For what? For making me feel normal again. For treating me like a person instead of a scandal. For just being here. You do not have to thank me for that, Jihoon said. I want to though, Adana replied. She reached out and squeezed his hand. Quick and light. Then she turned and walked to her car. Jihoon stood there watching her drive away. His hand still warm from where she had touched it. He went back to the hotel and spent the rest of the afternoon pretending to work. But mostly he just thought about Adana and coffee and the way she had said maybe it was meant to happen. On Saturday morning, Adana texted him. I bought something. Can you meet me at the hotel in an hour? Yes. Is everything okay? Everything is perfect. Just meet me outside. Jihoon went downstairs exactly 1 hour later. Adana was waiting for him outside the hotel entrance. She was wearing jeans and a leather jacket and holding 2 motorcycle helmets. Jihoon stopped walking. Is that your motorcycle? He asked, gesturing to the sleek black bike parked at the curb. It is now, Adana said with a huge smile. I bought it this morning. I have always wanted one, but Michael said it was too dangerous. So I decided that since I am rebuilding my life, I should start doing things I have always wanted to do. And you want me to ride with you, Jihoon said. I want you to come with me somewhere, Adana corrected. Do you trust me? Jihoon thought about the question. Did he trust this woman he had known for barely a week? This woman who was still processing her own trauma? Yes, he said. Then come on, Adana said, handing him the extra helmet. Jihoon had never been on a motorcycle in his life. Had always considered them too risky. Too many ways for things to go wrong. But he got on anyway. Adana climbed on in front of him. Jihoon wrapped his arms around her waist. She started the engine and the motorcycle roared to life beneath them. Then she pulled out into traffic and Jihoon held on tight as the city blurred past. They rode for 30 minutes before Adana pulled off the highway onto a dirt road that wound up into the hills outside the city. The road got rougher. The trees got thicker. Jihoon had no idea where they were going, but he did not ask. Finally, Adana pulled off the road into a small clearing. She killed the engine and the sudden silence was almost overwhelming. Jihoon got off the bike and pulled off his helmet. His hair was a mess and his heart was pounding and he felt more alive than he had in months. What is this place? He asked. My secret spot, Adana said, pulling off her own helmet. I found it years ago when I needed to get away from everything. No one else knows about it. She led him through the trees to the edge of a cliff that overlooked the entire city. The view was breathtaking. Skyscrapers in the distance. The river cutting through the middle. Lights starting to come on as evening approached. This is incredible, Jihoon said. I thought you might like it, Adana replied. She sat down on a flat rock near the edge. Sit with me. Jihoon sat. Their shoulders were almost touching. The wind was cooler up here. Cleaner. I come here when I need to think, Adana said quietly. When I need to remember that the world is bigger than whatever problem I am dealing with. How often do you come here? Jihoon asked. More often than I should probably admit. Especially these past few years. When things with Michael were getting bad, I would come here and just sit and try to figure out what to do. Did it help? Sometimes. Sometimes I would come here and realize I needed to leave him. And then I would go home and he would smile at me and I would convince myself I was being dramatic. That things were not that bad. That I should try harder. You did try, Jihoon said firmly. You tried for 4 years. I did, Adana agreed. And it was never enough. Because the problem was not that I was not trying hard enough. The problem was that he wanted to blame me for something I could not control. They sat in silence for a while. The sun was almost gone now. The city lights were brighter. Adana shivered slightly. Jihoon shrugged out of his jacket without thinking and draped it over her shoulders. Thank you, she said softly, pulling the jacket tighter around herself. You are welcome. Adana turned to look at him. Can I tell you something? Always. I'm scared. I'm scared that I wasted my entire life. That I gave everything to someone who did not deserve it and now I have nothing left. That is not true, Jihoon said. You have so much left. You are smart and strong and capable. You are rebuilding your life from scratch and that takes more courage than most people will ever have. I do not feel courageous, Adana said. I feel lost. Lost is just the first step to finding your way, Jihoon replied. Adana stared at him. How are you so wise? I'm not wise. I have just learned that sometimes the hardest moments teach us the most. What hard moments taught you that? Adana asked. Jihoon thought about his parents' death. About watching his mother take her last breath. About building a business from grief. About sitting in an oncologist's office being told he had months to live. Too many to count, he said finally. Adana studied his face in the fading light. You are not okay, are you? Ji-hoon's breath caught. What makes you say that? The way you look sometimes when you think no one is watching. The way you hold yourself so carefully like you might break if you relax. The way you seem sad even when you are smiling. Ji-hoon did not know what to say. You do not have to tell me, Adana said gently. She reached out and took his hand. But I want you to know that I see you. I see that you are carrying something heavy. And if you ever want to talk about it, I am here. Ji-hoon looked down at their joined hands. Her skin was warm against his. He thought about telling her the truth. About the cancer and the 6 months and the way he woke up every morning wondering if this would be the day everything got worse. But he could not do it. Could not take this perfect moment and destroy it with reality. Thank you, he said instead. That means more than you know. They sat there until the stars came out. Until the city below them was just lights in the darkness. Until Adana started shivering so much that Ji-hoon insisted they head back. The ride down the mountain was slower. Quieter. Ji-hoon held on to Adana and memorized the way this felt. The wind and the stars and the woman in his arms who saw him in a way no one else ever had. When they got back to the hotel, Adana walked him to the entrance. Thank you for today, Ji-hoon said. Thank you for trusting me enough to come. Can I see you tomorrow? Ji-hoon asked. Adana smiled. You are going to get sick of me. Impossible. Tomorrow then. But you get to pick what we do. Deal. Ji-hoon watched her ride away and then he went upstairs to his empty suite. He took his medications and went through his emails and tried to ignore the fact that his headache was back and worse than it had been in days. He went to bed thinking about Adana's hand in his and the way she had said she saw him. No one had really seen him in a very long time. And now that someone finally did, he was running out of time. Over the next 2 weeks, Ji-hoon and Adana saw each other almost every day. Sometimes for coffee at their cafe. Sometimes for walks through the park. Once for lunch at a small Thai restaurant where the food was so spicy Adana's eyes watered and Ji-hoon laughed harder than he had in months. They did not talk about Michael. Did not talk about the videos that were still circulating online. Did not talk about anything heavy. They just existed in this bubble where they could be two people getting to know each other. It was the best 2 weeks Ji-hoon had in a year. But reality kept creeping in. Ji-hoon had another appointment with Dr. Matsuda. More blood drawn. More tests run. More confirmation that he was dying right on schedule. Your counts are dropping faster, Dr. Matsuda said gently. You are going to need another transfusion soon. How soon? This week. Maybe sooner. Ji-hoon nodded. Fine. How are you feeling otherwise? Fatigue. Both. But manageable. Dr. Matsuda looked at him seriously. Are you taking care of yourself? As well as I can. That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have, Ji-hoon said. He left the office feeling worse than when he arrived. Drove back to the hotel in a daze. His phone buzzed as he was parking. Adana. Want to grab dinner tonight? My sister is cooking. Ji-hoon stared at the message. He should say no. Should go home and rest. Should not keep building this connection when he knew how it would end. Instead he typed, I would love to. What time? 7. I will pick you up on the bike. Ji-hoon smiled despite everything. Dinner at Kayamika's house became a regular thing. Every few days Adana would text him. Kayamika would cook enough food to feed an army. They would sit around the small kitchen table and talk and laugh and Ji-hoon would feel like he was part of something real. You look tired, Kayamika observed one night. Are you sleeping okay? Well enough, Ji-hoon lied. You work too much, Kayamika declared. You need to learn to relax. Maybe Adana can teach me, Ji-hoon said. Adana laughed. I do not know how to relax either. We would be terrible teachers for each other. Then you can learn together, Kayamika said. That is even better. After dinner, Adana walked Ji-hoon to his car. Thank you for coming, she said. I know my sister can be a lot. She is wonderful, Ji-hoon said honestly. You are lucky to have her. I know, Adana agreed. She looked up at him. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? The question caught Ji-hoon off guard. What? Are you happy? Adana repeated. Right now. In this moment. Are you happy? Ji-hoon thought about it. About the headache that never quite went away. About the pills he took every morning. About the 6 months that was slowly becoming 5 months. But also about coffee dates and motorcycle rides and dinners with Kayamika. About the way Adana smiled at him. About feeling less alone. Yes, he said quietly. I am happy. Adana smiled. Good. You deserve to be happy. She stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. Quick and light. Then she turned and walked back to the house before he could respond. Jihoon stood there for a long moment, his hand going to his cheek where she had kissed him. Then he got in his car and drove back to the hotel with warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the medication. On a Saturday in early March, Adana showed up at the hotel with a list. I made it, she announced, waving her phone at him. The bucket list we talked about. Jihoon smiled. Can I see? She pulled up her notes app and showed him. Learn to ride a motorcycle. Done. Visit the botanical gardens, take a painting class, go camping under the stars, see the ocean at sunrise, go to a concert and dance, take a road trip with no destination, learn to cook something fancy, volunteer at an animal shelter, learn a new language. Jihoon read through the list carefully. This is a good list. You think so? I know so. And I want to help you do all of it. Really? Really? Adana's eyes went bright. When do we start? Today, Jihoon said. What is next on your list? Botanical gardens. Then let me change clothes and we will go. They spent the afternoon wandering through gardens filled with roses and koi ponds and tropical plants. Adana was fascinated by everything. She took pictures and asked questions and laughed at the peacocks that wandered freely. Jihoon mostly just watched her. Memorized the way she moved. The way she tilted her head when she was thinking. The way she bit her bottom lip when she was concentrating. What? Adana asked, catching him staring. Nothing. You are just very present. It is refreshing. Present? Fully here. In this moment. Not thinking about yesterday or worrying about tomorrow. My therapist says I need to learn to be in my body instead of in my head, Adana said. They found a bench near a fountain and sat down. The sound of water was soothing. How is therapy going? Jihoon asked. Good. Hard but good. She is helping me process everything. The humiliation. The betrayal. The grief. Grief? For the life I thought I had. For the person I thought Michael was. For the 4 years I gave to something that was built on lies. That is a lot to grieve, Jihoon said quietly. It is. But she also says I need to celebrate. That I got out. That I am free. That I have a chance to build something real now. She sounds like a good therapist. She is. She also says I am doing remarkably well considering everything. You are, Jihoon agreed. You are stronger than you give yourself credit for. Adana looked at him. You keep saying that. Because it is true. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, can we do more things? From the list? I want to do them all. With you. We will, Jihoon promised. All of them. Even the ones that sound ridiculous? Especially the ones that sound ridiculous. Adana laughed. Bright and genuine. The sound made Jihoon's chest ache in a good way. They stayed at the gardens until it closed. Then Jihoon took her to dinner at a small French restaurant where they attempted to order in French and failed spectacularly. We need to work on that new language goal, Adana said as they were leaving. Clearly, Jihoon agreed. He drove her home. Walked her to the door of her sister's house. They stood on the porch under the yellow light. Thank you for today, Adana said. Thank you for letting me be part of it. Park Jihoon, Adana said softly. I am very glad you were in that garden that night. So am I, Jihoon said honestly. He drove back to the hotel and went straight to bed even though it was only 9. He was exhausted. The good kind of exhausted that came from actually living instead of just existing. His phone buzzed as he was falling asleep. Adana. I had the best day. Thank you for making me feel alive again. Jihoon smiled and typed back, you make me feel alive too. He sent it before he could overthink it. 3 dots appeared immediately. Really? Really? Good. Because I think I am falling for you, Park Jihoon. And that terrifies me, but I am choosing it anyway. Jihoon stared at the message. His heart was pounding. His throat was tight. He should tell her. Should tell her he was dying. Should tell her that falling for him was a terrible idea. Instead he typed, I am falling for you too. And I am choosing it. Even though we barely know each other? Sometimes a few weeks is enough, Jihoon wrote. My therapist would say we are moving too fast. What do you say? There was a long pause. Then Adana responded. I say that life is short and unpredictable. I say that I have spent enough time playing it safe. I say that you make me want to take risks. Jihoon closed his eyes. 6 months is not a long time. He sent it without thinking. Then immediately wanted to take it back. What? Adana wrote. Jihoon's heart stopped. He had said too much. Revealed too much. Nothing. I just mean we should not waste time. We should do all the things on your list while we can. While we can. While we have the time. While we are both free. Before life gets complicated again. There was another pause. Okay. Yes. Let us do all the things. Jihoon exhaled. Crisis averted. Good night, Adana. Good night, Jihoon. He set his phone down and stared at the ceiling. He had almost told her. Almost ruined everything. He could not do that again. Could not let the truth slip out until he was ready. If he was ever ready. The next few weeks were a blur of bucket list activities. A painting class where they created terrible abstract art that Adana insisted on keeping. A volunteer shift at the animal shelter where Adana fell in love with every dog. A cooking class where they learned to make French pastries that actually turned out well. Jihoon had good days and bad days. Days where he felt almost normal. Days where he could barely get out of bed. But he never canceled on Adana. Never let her see how bad it was. He just took his pills and drank his coffee and showed up. Because being with her was worth the exhaustion. On Valentine's Day, exactly 3 months after the anniversary party, Jihoon picked Adana up at 6 in the morning. Where are we going? She asked sleepily as she got in the car. You will see, Jihoon said. He drove 4 hours to the coast. Adana fell asleep somewhere around hour 2. Jihoon let her sleep. She looked peaceful. Younger. Like the weight she carried had lifted for a moment. They arrived just as the sun was starting to rise. Jihoon parked and gently woke Adana. We are here. She opened her eyes and looked around. The ocean? You said you wanted to see the ocean at sunrise. Adana's face lit up. She got out of the car and ran down to the beach. Jihoon followed more slowly. The sky was turning pink and orange and gold. The water reflected the colors like liquid fire. Adana stood at the edge with her bare feet in the sand and her arms spread wide. This is incredible, she breathed. Jihoon stood beside her and watched the sun rise over the water. Watched Adana's face as she saw it for the first time. Watched tears slide down her cheeks. Thank you, she whispered. You deserve all the beautiful things, Jihoon said. Adana turned to him. Last year today was the worst day of my life. And now it is one of the best. How is that possible? Because you chose to keep living, Jihoon said. Because you chose joy over bitterness. Because you chose to believe in beautiful things again. Adana stepped closer to him. I chose you. And I chose you, Jihoon replied. She kissed him then. Soft and gentle and full of promise. Jihoon kissed her back and wrapped his arms around her and held her close as the sun rose over the ocean. They spent the whole day at the beach. Building sandcastles. Collecting shells. Running from waves. That night they had dinner at a restaurant right on the water. The waiter brought champagne that Jihoon had pre-ordered. What is this for? Adana asked. Today is Valentine's Day. Last year you spent it being humiliated. This year you get to celebrate yourself. And us. Adana's eyes filled with tears. You remembered. Of course I remembered. They toasted to new beginnings and second chances. The champagne was perfect. The food was incredible. After dinner they walked on the beach under the stars. Can I tell you something? Adana asked. Always. I am in love with you, she said. I know it is fast. I know we have only known each other 3 months. But I am completely in love with you. Jihoon's heart stopped and started again. I am in love with you too. Really? Really? I have been in love with you since the moment I first saw you smile. Adana laughed through her tears. When was that? The botanical gardens. You were smelling a rose and you smiled like it was the most amazing thing you had ever experienced. I remember that day, Adana said softly. Jihoon cupped her face in his hands. I love you, Adana. More than I thought I could love anyone. I love you too. They kissed under the stars and Ji-hoon tried to memorize everything. The sound of the waves, the feel of her in his arms, the way his heart felt full for the first time in months. They drove home the next morning. Adana fell asleep again. Ji-hoon drove and thought about love and time and how unfair it was that he had finally found this and he was running out of days to keep it. When they got back to the city, Adana invited him up to her apartment. It was small but comfortable. Art on the walls, books on the shelves. Felt like her. "Thank you for yesterday," Adana said. "For making Valentine's Day beautiful again." "You made it beautiful," Ji-hoon said. They sat on her couch and talked until Ji-hoon could barely keep his eyes open. Adana noticed. "You are exhausted. You should go home and rest." "I am okay, Ji-hoon." She touched his face gently. "You are allowed to be tired." "I just want to be with you," he said. "Then stay. Sleep here. I will take care of you." Ji-hoon looked at her. "Are you sure?" "Very sure." He stayed. Adana gave him comfortable clothes to sleep in, made up the couch even though he protested, brought him water and made sure he took his pills even though he had not told her he had pills to take. She had noticed anyway. "What are these for?" she asked gently. "Headaches," Ji-hoon said, which was not a lie, just not the whole truth. Adana nodded and did not push. Ji-hoon fell asleep on her couch and slept better than he had in weeks. When he woke up the next morning, Adana was making breakfast. "Good morning," she said with a smile. "How do you feel?" "Better," Ji-hoon said honestly. They ate breakfast together and Ji-hoon realized this was what he wanted. This simple domestic peace. This feeling of being taken care of. This feeling of home. But 3 weeks later, everything changed. Ji-hoon was in a business meeting when the room started spinning. 1 minute he was presenting quarterly numbers. The next minute he was on the floor with Yoon calling an ambulance. He woke up in the hospital with Adana sitting next to his bed holding his hand. "Hi," she said softly when she saw his eyes open. "What happened?" Ji-hoon asked. "You collapsed. They brought you in unconscious. Your blood pressure was dangerously low. They gave you blood and fluids." Ji-hoon closed his eyes. "I am sorry." "Why are you apologizing?" Adana asked. Before Ji-hoon could answer, Dr. Matsuda walked in. "Ji-hoon, good to see you awake. Can I speak with you privately?" "No," Ji-hoon said. "Whatever you need to say, you can say in front of Adana." Dr. Matsuda looked between them. "Are you sure?" "I am sure." Dr. Matsuda nodded slowly. "Your counts are critically low. You are severely anemic. You need to stop working immediately and focus on quality of life." Adana's hand tightened on Ji-hoon's. "What do you mean quality of life?" Dr. Matsuda looked at Ji-hoon. "Have you told her?" "Told me what?" Adana asked. Her voice was getting higher. "Ji-hoon, what is he talking about?" Ji-hoon looked at her. At the fear in her eyes. At the love. He had to tell her now. "I have leukemia," Ji-hoon said quietly. "Acute myeloid leukemia. I was diagnosed about a year ago. The treatments are not working. I have about 3 months left. Maybe less." Adana stared at him. The color drained from her face. "What?" she whispered. "I am dying," Ji-hoon said. "I have been dying this whole time." Adana pulled her hand away. Stood up so fast her chair fell over. "You are dying," she repeated. "For how long have you known?" "Since before I met you." "And you did not think I should know that?" Adana's voice was shaking. "You let me fall in love with you knowing you were dying?" "I am sorry," Ji-hoon said. "You are sorry," Adana said. She laughed but there was no humor in it. "You are dying and you are sorry." Dr. Matsuda cleared his throat. "I will give you two some privacy." He left quickly. Adana wrapped her arms around herself. "How long? How long do you actually have?" Dr. Matsuda says 3 months. Maybe less. 3 months, Adana repeated. Tears were streaming down her face. "I thought we had time. I thought we were building something." "We are building something," Ji-hoon said desperately. "How?" Adana demanded. "How are we building something when you are leaving? When you knew from the start this would end?" "I did not plan to fall in love with you," Ji-hoon said. "I was just trying to help. But then I got to know you and I could not stop. I am sorry." Adana was crying openly now. Why did you not tell me sooner? Because I did not want to lose this. I did not want to lose you. Well, you are losing me now. Adana shouted. You are dying and I am losing you and there is nothing I can do about it. She sank to the floor, her whole body shaking with sobs. Jihoon tried to get out of bed but he was too weak. Too many wires. Too much equipment. Adana. Please. Do not, she said. Do not try to make this okay. It is not okay. Nothing about this is okay. They sat in silence. Adana crying on the floor. Jihoon in the bed with his heart breaking. Finally Adana stood up, wiped her face, looked at him with red eyes. I need time, she said. I need to think about this. Okay, Jihoon said quietly. I love you, Adana said. But I do not know if that is enough. She turned and walked out. Jihoon lay in the hospital bed and stared at the ceiling and wondered if he had just lost the best thing that had ever happened to him. 3 days passed. Jihoon stayed in the hospital. They gave him transfusions, monitored him. Dr. Matsuda came in every day to check on him. Have you heard from Adana? Dr. Matsuda asked gently. No, Jihoon said. Give her time. This is a lot to process. I know. Do you want me to talk to her? No. She needs to make this decision on her own. On the 4th day, Adana showed up. She walked into his hospital room looking exhausted, like she had not slept in days. She pulled a chair up to his bed and sat down. I have been thinking, she said without preamble. Okay, Jihoon said carefully. And I talked to my therapist. A lot. Emergency sessions. She made me work through all of it. What did she say? She said I get to choose what I can handle. That there is no right or wrong answer. That I need to trust myself and do what feels right even if it is hard. And what feels right? Jihoon asked. Adana looked at him. Really looked at him. I realized something. I have spent my entire life making choices based on what other people wanted. I married Michael because he was persistent. I stayed because I thought I should. I gave up everything because that is what he wanted. And now I want to make choices based on what I want, Adana said firmly. Not on what is safe or easy or what other people think I should do. What do you want? Jihoon asked quietly. Adana met his eyes. I want to spend whatever time you have left loving you. I want to finish the bucket list. I want to experience every moment we have. Because here's the thing, Jihoon. You might have 3 months, but I could walk out of here and get hit by a car tomorrow. None of us know how much time we have. The only difference is you have a timeline. Jihoon's throat was tight. Are you sure? I am terrified, Adana admitted. But yes, I'm sure. I choose you. I choose us. I choose to live and love even knowing how this ends. Jihoon reached for her hand. I do not deserve you. Probably not, Adana said with a watery smile. But you are stuck with me anyway. She leaned forward and kissed him. Soft and gentle and full of promises they both knew might not be kept. I love you, Jihoon said. I love you too, Adana replied. So much it scares me. Me too. When Jihoon was discharged 2 days later, Adana insisted he come stay at her apartment. You need someone to take care of you. And I am volunteering. You do not have to do that. I know I do not have to. I want to. So Jihoon moved into Adana's small apartment. He slept in her bed and she slept beside him. She cooked meals he could barely eat, brought him water and pills, sat with him during the bad hours. Kayamika visited often. She brought food and laughter and treated Jihoon like family. You are good for my sister, Kayamika told him one afternoon. I have never seen her this strong. She is good for me too, Jihoon said. I know. I can see it. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, It is going to kill her when you die. You know that, right? I know, Jihoon said quietly. But I think she will survive it, Kayamika continued, because you are showing her how to be brave, how to choose joy even when everything is terrible. I hope you are right. I am always right, Kayamika declared. They laughed. Jihoon got weaker. Simple things became difficult. Walking, eating, staying awake. But he was not in pain. Dr. Matsuda made sure of that. The medications kept him comfortable, kept him present. On a warm April afternoon, Adana sat beside him on the couch. Can I ask you something? She said. Always. What do you want to do? With the time we have left. What matters most to you? Jihoon thought about it. I want to finish your list. I want to make you happy. I want to give you memories that are beautiful instead of painful. Adana's eyes filled with tears. What about what you want? For yourself. Being with you is what I want for myself, Jihoon said. So they kept living. A road trip with no destination that ended in a small town with the best barbecue they had ever tasted. Stargazing in a field where Adana made up stories about constellations. A concert where they danced even though Jihoon was exhausted. Every moment was precious. Every day a gift. Jihoon knew he was running out of time. Could feel his body shutting down. But he never told Adana how bad it was getting. He just showed up and loved her and tried to give her everything he could in the time he had left. On a sunny day in late April, they were sitting in Adana's apartment when she suddenly looked at him. Marry me, she said. Jihoon stared at her. What? Marry me, Adana repeated. I know it is crazy. I know we have barely known each other 4 months. I know you are dying. But I do not care. I want to be your wife. Even if it is just for a little while. Jihoon felt tears slide down his face. Are you sure? Very sure, Adana said. I love you. And I want to make it official. I want to be able to say you are my husband. I want that. Then yes, Jihoon said. Yes, I will marry you. They got married 3 days later. A quiet ceremony at the courthouse with Kayamika and Yoon as witnesses. Adana wore a simple white dress. Jihoon wore a dark suit. They exchanged vows and rings and promises. When the officiant said they could kiss, Jihoon pulled Adana close and kissed her like she was oxygen. I love you, Mrs. Park, he whispered. I love you too, Mr. Park, Adana replied. That night they had dinner with Kayamika, who cried happy tears and toasted to love. You two are proof that beautiful things can come from terrible beginnings, Kayamika said. Jihoon and Adana went home and lay in bed holding each other. Thank you for marrying me, Jihoon said. Thank you for loving me, Adana replied. Always, Jihoon promised. But always was running out. By May, Jihoon could barely leave the bed. His body was shutting down. The transfusions helped less and less. Dr. Matsuda came to the apartment. It is time to consider hospice, he said gently. No, Jihoon said. I want to stay here. Then we bring hospice here, Adana said firmly. Whatever he needs. They hired a hospice nurse. She came every day. Taught Adana how to care for someone dying. Jihoon's awareness came and went. Sometimes he was clear and present. Sometimes he drifted. But he always knew Adana. Always recognized her voice. Her touch. On a quiet evening in late May, Jihoon woke feeling clearer than he had in days. Adana was reading in a chair beside the bed. She looked up when she heard him stir. Hi, she said with a smile. Hi. What day is it? May 28th. Jihoon nodded. He could feel it. The end was close. I need to tell you something, he said. Okay. Jihoon took her hand. This has been the best time of my life. Meeting you. Falling in love. Every single moment has been a gift. Jihoon, Adana's voice shook. Let me finish. You are extraordinary. You are strong and brave, and you have taught me what it means to really live. Promise me you will keep living. Keep doing the things on your list. Keep being brave. I promise, Adana whispered. There are documents with Marcus. Everything is arranged. The apartment. My assets. It is all yours. I do not want your money. I know. But I want you to have options. To be able to do whatever you want. Adana nodded through her tears. I love you, Jihoon said. More than I can say. I love you too. So much. He closed his eyes and slept. On May 29th, Jihoon's breathing changed. Adana knew. The hospice nurse confirmed it. It could be hours or days. But he is transitioning. Kayamika came. She sat on one side while Adana sat on the other. They held his hands. Talked to him. Thanked him. The hours passed. As evening fell, Jihoon's breathing became more labored. Rattling. Uneven. Adana leaned close. It is okay, my love. You can go. I will be okay. I promise. Jihoon's eyes opened slightly. He looked at her one last time. Love you, he whispered. I love you too. Always. He took one more breath. Then he was gone. Adana sat very still, holding his hand. Kayamika was crying, but Adana could not cry yet. She just sat with the man she loved and tried to memorize the feel of his hand in hers. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for showing me how to live." The funeral was small. Adana, Kayamika, Dr. Matsuda, Marcus, a few business associates. They buried Jihoon on a hill overlooking the city, next to his parents. Marcus read the will. Jihoon had left everything to Adana. The apartment, the business interest, enough money that she would never worry again. "He wanted to make sure you were taken care of," Marcus said gently. Adana sat in the attorney's office and felt numb. Michael tried to contact her after the funeral, claiming he had information she needed to hear, claiming he had been wrong. Yoon had him escorted away with a restraining order. Adana moved through the weeks in a fog. Therapy. Crying with Kayamika. Sleeping in the bed where Jihoon had died. 8 weeks after the funeral, Adana woke up nauseous. She threw up 3 mornings in a row before Kayamika insisted she take a test. Adana sat on the bathroom floor staring at 2 pink lines. Pregnant. She started crying. Deep sobs that shook her whole body. "He is gone," she said to Kayamika. "He is gone and I am pregnant and he will never know." "But you know," Kayamika said gently. "And this baby is a gift. A piece of him that gets to stay." Adana went to the doctor and confirmed it. 10 weeks pregnant. Conceived in late March when Jihoon had still been relatively healthy. She placed her hand on her stomach. "Hi baby," she whispered. "Your father was the best man I ever knew. And I am going to make sure you know exactly who he was." The pregnancy was hard, physically and emotionally. But Adana was determined. She read every book, set up a nursery, talked to the baby every day about Jihoon. "Your father loved gardens," she would say. "He loved the ocean. He loved helping people. He loved me even though he knew it would hurt." On a cool February morning, exactly 9 months after Jihoon died, Adana gave birth to a son. He had Jihoon's dark hair and serious expression. Adana held him and cried tears of joy and grief. "What will you name him?" the nurse asked. Adana looked down at her son. Jihoon Valentine Park, after his father. Jihoon because that was his name. Valentine because that was when everything changed. She took her son home and learned to be a mother. It was hard and exhausting and wonderful. Every time she looked at her son's face, she saw Jihoon. The same eyes, the same quiet strength. Years passed. Adana raised Jihoon Valentine with Kayamika's help. She told him stories about his father every night. "Your father was brave," she would say. "He was kind. He helped a stranger even though he was dying because it was the right thing to do." "Tell me about how you met," little Jihoon would ask. And Adana would tell him. About the cake and the humiliation and the man in the garden who stepped in when no one else would. "Your father saved me twice," she would say. "Once from public humiliation and once from giving up on life." Jihoon Valentine grew up smart and kind and strong. He went to college, business school, took over managing the companies his father had left. At 28, he got married to a woman who loved him fiercely. At the wedding, he gave a speech. "My father died before I was born, but he left me the greatest gift. He loved my mother so completely that she was able to love me enough for 2 parents. He showed her how to be strong, how to choose joy, how to live fully even when time is short." He raised his glass. "To Park Jihoon, the father I never met but who shaped everything I am." Adana cried through the whole speech. She never remarried. Good men tried, but she always said no. "I had my great love," she would tell Kayamika. "Some people never get that." She lived fully, became a teacher, volunteered, traveled, watched her son have children, 2 beautiful grandchildren who called her Nana. On her 70th birthday, Adana stood at Jihoon's grave with her son. "Hi, my love," she said, touching the headstone. "Look how tall our boy is. Look how good he turned out. You would be so proud." "Thank you, Dad," Jihoon Valentine said, "for loving her, for showing her how to be strong." Adana lived to be 83. She died peacefully with her son holding one hand and her grandson holding the other. On her bedside table was a photograph of Jihoon from the botanical gardens. When they buried her, Ji-hoon Valentine placed that photograph in her hands. Go be with him, Mom, he whispered. They buried her next to Ji-hoon. Her headstone read, Adana Park, beloved mother, grandmother, teacher. She chose love even when it was hard. She chose joy even in darkness. She lived fully even when time was short. Every Valentine's Day, Ji-hoon Valentine brought flowers to both graves. Red roses for his mother. White lilies for his father. And on the hill overlooking the city, two souls rested side by side. Their time together had been brief, but it had been enough. Because love is not measured in years. It is measured in moments, in choices, in courage. And by that measure, Park Ji-hoon and Adana had loved each other completely. So tell me, was it worth it? Did Adana make the right choice to stay? What moment hit you the hardest? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe because I have got more stories that will make you feel everything. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember that life is short but love makes it worth living.